This is High School Challenge, the varsity sport of the mind. Now, here's your host, Jim Gaber.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to High School Challenge. We've got an exciting one for you right now as we're ready to crown our next quarterfinalist in this season's High School Challenge here on Michigan Television. So let's meet our two teams right away, shall we? First, from Lapeer East High School, we have Brandon Haladish. Brandon is a junior, plays in the marching band, member of the National Honor Society, has high honors, is looking for a computer engineering-related job after school. Dwayne Brown is a senior at Lapeer East, enjoys playing chess and building computers, looking to become a psychologist and get a degree in computer science. Captain of the Lapeer East team is Nick Carlesimo. Nick is a senior, is a member of the honor roll, and undecided right now on future career path. And rounding out the Lapeer East team is Scott Melkerson. Scott is a senior, is involved with the chess team, the computer club, has high honors, is looking at attending Central Michigan or Michigan State next year. Those round out our players for Lapeer East High School. Now let's meet our team from Milford. There we have Rachel Chesley. Rachel is a senior, active in the drama program, involved in school center stage program, and is a high honors student, a Michigan MEP scholar, and a GAC MSU winner. Will attend Wayne State University in the fall to study nursing. Next is Andrew Lavera. Andrew's a junior, plays soccer, is active with Spanish club and track, is an honor roll high honors student. 4 AP classes, will attend University of Michigan for a degree in chemical engineering. Graham Davis is the captain of the Milford team. Graham is a senior. He is a GAC MSU finalist as well and is undecided right now on the college he will attend next year. And rounding out the Milford team is Chad Surowski. Chad is a junior, is a wrestler. He's also a member of the debate team, and he too is undecided on which college he'll attend next year. Those are our players for today's game. High School Challenge is judged by Julie Pritchett of Genesee Intermediate School District. Our scorekeeper for today's game is Marissa Sand. Teams, we're ready to go. Here are your rules for round one. I'll ask you a series of questions worth 10 points apiece. The player buzzing first may answer when I recognize you. If you're correct, the team scores the 10 points. If you're incorrect, the other team gets a shot at the same question. Remember, you may interrupt me at any time I'm asking a question. There are no point penalties for incorrect answers. However, at that point, I'll repeat the entire question for the other team. Good luck. Here we go. In the early history of the NFL, it was the home of the Bulldogs. Now it's home to the Professional Football Hall of Fame. What is this Ohio city? Nick, Lapeer East.
Columbus.
Columbus is incorrect. Milford? Milford, Chad.
Toledo.
Also incorrect. Canton, Ohio. Next toss-up. In a battery, it converts chemical to electrical energy. In biology, it's the smallest structural unit of an organism. Dwayne, Lapeer East.
Cell.
Cell is correct. In the game of chess, each side starts with 16 pieces. How many pieces does each side have at the beginning of a game of checkers? Dwayne, Lapeer East?
8.
8's incorrect. Milford? Milford, Graham?
16.
12 is the correct answer. 4 to a row and 3 rows. Here's your next toss-up. His tombstone lists 3 accomplishments. Author of the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, father of the University of Virginia, and author of the Declaration of Graham, Milford.
Jefferson?
Jefferson is correct. The 23rd Psalm talks about walking through the shadow of the valley of death. In what Tennyson poem do the Noble 600 ride into the valley of death? Nick, Lapeer East.
Charge of the Light Brigade.
Charge of the Light Brigade is correct. Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning were all college quarterbacks for the same school. What university? Time's up. Ole Miss, University of Mississippi. His most famous works include Beyond the Pleasure Principle, Ego, Graham, Milford.
Foucault?
That's incorrect. His most famous works include Beyond the Pleasure Principle, Ego and Id, and The Interpretation of Dreams. Who founded psychoanalysis? Nick, Lapeer East?
Sigmund Freud.
Sigmund Freud is correct. When Walt Whitman wrote, But oh heart, 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 oh bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. Which president? Nick, Lapeer East?
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln is correct. Their marriage in 1469 united the kingdoms of Castile and Graham Milford.
Isabella and Ferdinand?
That's correct. Next toss-up. Carried by the African tsetse fly, its symptoms, Graham Milford.
Sleeping sickness?
Sleeping sickness is correct. Her paintings of the New Mexico lands, Graham Milford.
O'Keefe?
O'Keefe is correct. The two contestants enter a 15-foot ring, throw salt, stomp, and bow. Nick, Lapeer East.
Sumo wrestling.
Sumo wrestling is correct. There are four conic sections, a circle, ellipse, hyperbola, and parabola. Which of them is formed by a plane perpendicular to the base of the cone? Nick, Lapeer East.
Circle.
That's incorrect. Andrew Milford.
Hyperbola?
Hyperbola is correct. Here's your next toss-up. Quote, as I walked through the wilderness of this world, I lighted on a certain place where was a den, and I laid me down in that place to sleep, end quote. So begins what 1678 religious allegory by John Bunyan? Time's up. Pilgrim's Progress. Next toss-up. The name means crown of the palace. It was the name Shah Jahan gave to the great tomb he built, Graham Milford.
Taj Mahal?
Taj Mahal is correct. The next toss-up. Hans Lippershey, a Dutch lensmaker, is usually credited with inventing the first one in 1600. See, Nick, Lapeer East.
Telescope.
Telescope is correct. You might not think of it as having mountains, but some are 11,000 feet high. What is this large expanse of sand that runs across northern Africa? Graham Milford?
The Sahara Desert?
Sahara Desert is correct. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 marked the end of an empire that had been crumbling for more than... I can't take that. I'll repeat for Lapeer East. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 marked the end of an empire that had been crumbling for more than 2 centuries. What was this successor to the Roman Empire? Brandon, Lapeer East?
Ottoman.
It's incorrect. Byzantine. Remind you all to be sure and wait for the recognition before answering. The King of France, the King of Albany, and the Duke of Cornwall are all characters of Graham Milford.
King Lear?
King Lear is correct. The monetary unit of Ecuador is also the name of one of the 2 capitals of Bolivia. What's the name? Graham Milford.
La Paz?
That's incorrect. No answer. East La Paz is one of the capitals, but the currency is the sucre. Next toss-up. It follows an irregular elliptical 18-year cycle, and until the early 18th century, its motion was so complicated it couldn't be predicted. What is this celestial body? Nick, Lapeer East?
Mercury.
Mercury is incorrect. Milford? Time's up. It is the moon. Here's another toss-up. Theodore Roosevelt promised a square deal. FDR had his New Deal. What kind of deal did Harry Truman offer? Graham Milford.
Fair deal?
Fair deal is correct. Here's your next toss-up, teams. This state contains the geographical center of the 50 United States. Is it Colorado, Kansas, Montana, or South Dakota? Nick, Lapeer East?
Kansas.
Kansas is incorrect. Milford, Graham?
South Dakota?
South Dakota is correct. Kansas, I think, has the 48 contiguous states. Its ends are similar, equal, and parallel rectilineal figures. Its sides are parallelograms. What is this object in solid geometry and in optics? Time's up. A prism is the answer. Your next toss-up. It is a strip of linen 230 feet long on which are embroidered scenes from the Norman conquest of England. What is this unusual historical document? Time's up. It's the Bayou Tapestry. Here's another toss-up. In this poem by William Butler Yeats, a rough beast slouches toward Bethlehem to be born. What is the poem's title? Time is up. It's The Second Coming. Here's another toss-up. It ended on the 11th hour of the 11th Graham Milford.
World War I?
World War I is correct. And we won't have another toss-up. That's going to bring us to the end of round one. And as you can see, Lapeer East trails at this point, so you get the first crack at round two. That's our lightning round. I'm about to give you your choice of 3 categories. Once you've selected, you'll have 60 seconds to answer up to 10 questions in that category. Remember, you may consult during this round. No need to buzz in. I'll be taking answers from Nick, the team captain. If you don't know an answer, you must say pass before I move on. We'll give you 10 points for each correct answer, a 20-point bonus if all 10 are correct. Once your 60 seconds is up, Lapeer East, Milford, you'll have 30 seconds to answer anything they missed, passed on, or didn't get to, and then we'll repeat. Lapeer East, your choices are full moon, it's all relative, or potpourri 93.
I think we'll try full moon.
Okay, this quiz is just full of moons in fiction, fact, and fantasy. For 10 points each, provide these lunar facts about the moon or things associated with the moon. We begin with number 1. This day of the week is named for the moon.
Monday.
Correct. In a nursery rhyme, this animal jumps over the moon.
Cow.
That's correct. Phobos and Deimos are moons of this planet.
Mars.
That's correct. He was the first person to walk on the moon, July 20th, 1969.
Neil Armstrong.
Correct. The phase of the moon when the dark side faces Earth.
New.
That's correct. This name is given to the rare second full moon in a month.
Blue.
That's correct. 1,000, 2,000, or 4,000. It's the diameter of the moon.
4,000.
Incorrect. It's good for farmers, the bright full moon nearest the autumnal equinox.
Harvest moon.
That's correct. Roger Moore played James Bond in this spacey 1979 movie.
Moonraker.
That's correct. He published From Earth to the Moon in 1865.
H.G. Wells.
That's incorrect. That is 10, and you have 8 out of 10 correct for 80 points. We'll reset at 30. Milford first. 1,000, 2,000, or 4,000, the diameter of the moon.
2,000?
2,000 is correct. He published From the Earth to the Moon in 1865.
Jules Verne?
Jules Verne is correct. 20 points on your side. And now, Milford, you may select between It's All Relative or 10 Years Ago. Potpourri 93.
It's like potpourri 93.
Okay, all of the following people, places, and things were in the news in 1993. And we start with number 1. After defeating George Bush, he was sworn in as the president. And that's correct. Millions loved and hated this big purple dinosaur.
Barney?
Correct. This Minneapolis rocker changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol.
Prince?
That's correct. He directed the biggest and best movies of '93, Jurassic Park and Schindler's.
Spielberg?
That's correct. David Caruso and Dennis Franz starred in this new ABC police drama.
NYPD Blue?
Correct. The author of The Beloved and Tar Baby won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Morrison?
That's correct. This South African resistance leader won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Mandela?
That's correct. This Clint Eastwood Western won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Unforgiven?
That's correct. He won 6 Grammys in '93, 3 for Tears in Heaven.
Clapton?
Correct. 93 million TV viewers watched as this Boston bar closed its doors.
Cheers?
And that is 10 out of 10. Well done. And with that, we come to the end of round 2, and a lot of points to total up, 120 for Milford with their bonus there. We're going to take a break, but first I'd like to introduce you to some folks from Lapeer East. The Lapeer East team is coached by Jeff Lorenz, and their alternates today include Catherine Sadi, Mary Ball, David Ball, and Reed Belmonte. And with that, we'll be back with some extra credit right after this. From Milford High School, the Milford team is coached by Tim Donahue and Derek Bod, and alternates with them today include Sean Donovan, John Crowley, Melissa Dick, and Holly Portman. We welcome all of them, and we welcome you back to High School Challenge for some extra credit. Teams this round, the rules are the same as round 1. The difference here is a correct answer to a toss-up earns your team a shot at 10 points worth of extra credit. Remember, you may consult on the extra credit questions. I'll take the team captain's answers on those, but I remind you to consult on extra credit only and not on the toss-ups. When the bell sounds at the end of the game, if I'm in the middle of a cycle, we'll play through the cycle before the game's officially over. Good luck with your first toss-up. Tim Burton directed the movie. Washington Irving wrote the story. What's the title? Nick, Lapeer East.
Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
That's correct. Lapeer, it's the rhythmic contraction of the heart which sends blood out into the body. What's it called?
Pulse.
Pulse incorrect. Systole is the correct answer. Here's your next toss-up. Launched in October 1957, it was the world's first artificial Nick, Lapeer East.
Sputnik.
Sputnik is correct. Lapeer, it connects the Bosporus and the Dardanelles and separates the European and Asian parts of Turkey. What is this body of water?
The Black Sea.
Black Sea is incorrect. Sea of Marmara is the answer. Here's another toss-up. He came from the Philistine city of Gath and was probably its most prominent citizen. Who was this biblical giant slain in the Nick, Lapeer East?
Goliath.
Goliath is correct. Lapeer, if you've ever been placed between the poles of a giant magnet, you've probably had a medical procedure known as an MRI. What do the letters MRI stand for?
Magnetic resonance imaging.
That's correct. Here's your next toss-up, teams. In January, George W. Bush proposed a permanent human colony on the moon, followed by manned flights and a colony on this planet. Graham Milford.
Mars?
Mars is correct. Milford, his constant is represented by a lowercase h and relates the energy of a photon to its frequency. Whose constant is this?
Gavers?
I'm afraid that you're close, but it's Max Planck. Here's your next toss-up. The Philadelphia Athletics from 1916 to 1921, the Boston Red Sox from 1925 to 1930, the New York Mets from 1962 to 1965, the Atlanta Braves from 1976 to 1979. Where did all of these nice guys finish? Nick, Lapeer East.
World Series.
That's incorrect. Milford, Graham.
Last?
Last place. That's the correct answer. Milford, Henry VIII was the last King Henry of England. Who was the last King Henry of France, assassinated in 1610?
Henry IV?
That's correct. Here's your next toss-up. A 1916 group of Russian nobles poisoned, shot, stabbed, drowned, and otherwise killed him. Who was this? Graham Milford.
Rasputin?
Rasputin is correct. Milford, SAT, EPA, and URL are familiar three-letter combinations. If you can use each letter of the alphabet only once in a group, how many different three-letter groups can you form?
78?
You're close. 15,600 is the correct answer. Here's your next toss-up, teams. Consider the following series of numbers: 3, 6, 18, 72. What's the next number in the series? And time's up. The answer is 360. Here's your next toss-up. In Greek mythology, one of the Titans stole fire from the gods and gave it to Nick, Lapeer East.
Prometheus.
Prometheus is correct. Lapeer, an ideal one with mean 0 and standard deviation 1 is called standard normal distribution. By what name is this statistical tool better known?
Normal.
Normal's incorrect. Bell curve is what I needed. Here's your next toss-up. It can be a small spacecraft, the fruit of a pea or poppy, or a group of seals or whales. What is this, Nick, Lapeer East?
Pod.
Pod is correct. Lapeer, his portrait of Dr. Gachet was completed just weeks before he died in 1890. 100 years later, it sold at auction for $82 million, the most expensive painting ever. Who painted it?
Van Gogh.
That's correct. Your next toss-up teams. Sudan is the largest country in Africa. Which African country has the most people? Algeria, Liberia, or Nigeria? Graham, Milford?
Nigeria.
Nigeria is correct. Milford, Jesse B. Simple, a folk philosopher and storyteller, made his first appearance in 1943 in a column written for the black-owned Chicago Defender. Who collected those columns in Simple Speaks His Mind and Simple's Uncle Sam?
Alex Haley.
Langston Hughes is the answer. Here's your next toss-up. It was the great era of the dinosaurs. It included the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. What is this era? Nick, Lapeer East?
Paleozoic.
It's incorrect. It was the great era of the dinosaurs. Included the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. What is this era of middle life? Graham, Milford.
Mesozoic.
Mesozoic is correct. Milford, the Germans are depicted as cats and the Jews as mice in this graphic novel about the Holocaust that won Art Spiegelman's a special Pulitzer Prize. What is it called?
Moz.
Moz is correct. Your next toss-up, the annual awards given by the Mystery Writers of America, Graham, Milford.
The Edgar Awards.
That's correct.
Edgar?
Milford, in an underground cell ablaze with 1,369 light bulbs, the nameless narrator tells of his odyssey from Alabama to Harlem. What is this 1952 novel by Ralph Ellison?
Invisible Man.
Say again?
Invisible Man.
That is correct. I needed to distinguish between the Invisible Man. To make one, you arrange small pebbles, glass cubes, or tiles to create large pictures or designs. Graham, Milford.
Mosaic.
Mosaic is correct. Milford, it included the Committee of Public Safety, the Revolutionary Tribunal, and a new revolutionary calendar. What was this period of the French Revolution? Time is up. The Reign of Terror is what I needed. Your next toss-up. The name of this element is Swedish for heavy stone. The Germans called it Wolfram and thus gave us its symbol W. What element? Nick, Lapeer East?
Tungsten.
Tungsten is correct. Lapeer East, in 1905, Ernest Rutherford discovered that radioactive atoms spontaneously decay into atoms of different elements, and thus one element could be transformed into another. What do nuclear scientists call this process?
Radioactive decay.
That is incorrect. Transmutation is the correct answer there. And the bell means that our game is over, and Milford becomes the next of our quarterfinalists in this season's competition. Congratulations to you, Milford, and to you, Lapeer East. Congratulations on a well-played tournament here on High School Challenge. Good luck to you and the rest of your competitions throughout the year. We'll be back with more competitions of our own on High School Challenge. Until then, I'm Jim Gaver. Have a good day. High School Challenge is a co-production of Michigan Television and the Genesee Intermediate School District.